Morning, everybody. Happy Saturday. Welcome back to the big board and all that sort of good fun stuff. So, what we're going to do is play Pledge of Honor, the little expansion module that is very hard to find. It's kind of hidden on the website, and they didn't really announce it, but it looks like it's got some cool scenarios, and it's got a new map, which is what we're playing here. It's a reimagining of map 3. It's called 3D. You can't see it's off the camera, but they changed this section here and put this little corral, I guess, in. And what we're going to do is run a ambush scenario where the Marines, the 1-5, are trying to move up to the front lines, to the Citadel, or fight in and around the Citadel, I believe, on and around the 12th of Feb, 68. And so given that I'd already or recently played the Battle of Way, I thought this might be a fun little scenario to have a look at, because it looks like it's fairly substantial, number one. Number two, it's got some tricky little victory conditions and stuff in here, and some special scenario rules that are kind of cool. So first thing is, I've set these guys up in basically what I would call 3 or 4 squads. So we've got 2 3-6-4s and a 2-6-4 with an MG and a leader. Here I've got Lieutenant Reagan and the hero, which has got a special ability. Let me just move the camera a little bit closer, and we'll zoom in a little bit. He's got that grenade launcher, which doesn't run out of ammo, which is kind of cool. And then so a slightly weakened squad with a 3 FP and a 2 FP unit. And then Captain Peters has got 2 3-rated guys and a 2-6-4 with an M60. And if we kind of scooch over, then we've got what I would call the reserve, which is really just going to end up being the guys that get ambushed the hardest. 3 2-6-4 squads and a chaplain there for some rally action. Turn 4, I pick up an M48 tank, so that'll be nice. The setup instructions are that the elements of the 802nd Battalion of the NVA are setting up at least 2 hexes away from the Marines setup path. So that's at least 2 hexes away. So we've got them in good cover, and I'm piling on stacks here to do a couple of things. One, get the most firepower I can in the opening rounds of activity and see if we can put some hurt on people and weaken these individual squads. And you can see, if we zoom over to here a little bit, we've got these 2 squads here, these 2 sets of units set up here, and they're in good red dot cover. These guys really are spoiling opportunities. If I leave these dudes, I might even put this guy back here now that I think about it. Right, put him back here. That means if the Marines want to leave this chap behind based on the victory conditions, what we can do then is go back and reacquire the hexes. All the hexes on the board that are multi-hex buildings. So these guys, and if we roll around to here, you can see there's some multi-hex. Let me just zoom out a little bit for you now, because there's 3 multi-hex buildings up here as well. We just do a VP count. Whoever controls the most at the end of the game wins, and that's how we're going to score the game. Now, the cool thing is there's a couple of scenario rules that are different. The first being that we are allowed to bring on another. I'm going to move the camera. These guys down here. Each turn I can bring 2 squads and a weapon and a leader on, and I can put them anywhere on the board. And so it's kind of like a hidden setup, but that you can place them after the fact, right? So that can cause all sorts of problems for the Marines. They're going to have to leave some sort of tail along force to make sure that we don't get too many units in the rear and then have to come back and deal with it. So that's going to be a problem. So I've got 4 turns worth of reinforcements coming basically is the way that works out. I think 1, 2, 3, 4, potentially 5, unless I can sneak this sniper in somewhere. I'll have to recheck the rule. And then the other thing is there's a couple of hexes that have special events, and I've read what they are already. So there'll be a field hospital, and there's a nurse here that was captured, and she's going to help or not, as the case may be. And we'll deal with that when we get to it. It's kind of a sidebar, but I don't want to get too distracted from the primary mission, which is going to be capturing all these building hexes. And I'm going to assume that it's a building hex, not both levels. Otherwise, in a 10-turn scenario, I can't see it being physically possible to capture up and down everything. So the last person to enter the hex will control it. Everything starts with it being under VC control, naturally enough, or NVA control, naturally enough, and we're going to kind of go for things from there. So that's the plan. So these guys are probably going to take the hit. I'm sure they get the first activation. Let me see here. Yeah, they do. The NVA get the first activation, so they'll probably open up with these guys and try and put some hurt on that rear section, and then that's going to weaken this force and maybe bring them back. Because obviously, what I want to try and do is keep as much of the Marine force on this map fighting me here, and keep the 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 VPs that are on the far map up here, right? So that's the game plan for both sides. Default aggressive for the Marines. We're gonna get in there and get after it, and we'll see what happens. And we'll bring the thump up. All right. Talk to you soon. Oh, by the way, look, tell me what you would do in this scenario and how you might approach it. I'd be curious to see if we can get some different ideas on tactics and approaches, regardless of whether or not you know the game. Just from a pure tactical standpoint, what would your approach be? I think it'd be fun to have a conversation about that. Ciao.